Hi internet friends. Today we are diving deep into summer 2024 fashion trends. These are always my favorite videos to make. However, I do know sometimes they can feel very all-consuming and make you feel like you just have to keep on buying to keep up with the Joneses. Overall, you will probably have something already existing in your wardrobe to accomplish a lot of these looks. So we are going to break this video down into 3 parts. The first one being colors, color palette, color trends. The second one being overall theming. So what kind of vibes or just overall aesthetics we're seeing coming out. And the third one will be the actual silhouette or garment pieces that we are seeing trending. So without further ado, let's dive into this video. Now, as far as color tones go, the most talked about one, or the one that I am seeing the most on the internet, is definitely all white. That seems to be a huge moment right now, which is definitely not groundbreaking, which is another critique that I am seeing when it comes to this color palette. This is just the season. This is the time of year that we break out our white clothes. That's why there's that, age-old saying of like no white after Labor Day. However, I never follow that rule. But yeah, white on white just seems to be the big trend right now. It really seems to be the big push. And I am definitely seeing it mostly in dresses and maxi skirts. That seems to be the biggest push as far as all white. My current favorite hot take on it is definitely the white on white with a pop of red. I think we're seeing that kind of bleed over from spring into the summer transition. Next is metallic. I am not even going to cover this because I feel like I had already talked about it at length in my spring prediction list, and summer is going to be no different. We are still seeing a lot of metallics transfer over. The other 2 colors that I'm seeing the most of are brown and red tones. I think the brown really is starting to carry over from that quiet luxury look. We're still seeing that so much in just that 90s minimalism. So brown, kind of like that camel, muted tan, khaki, dark brown, those are all color palettes that I'm definitely seeing. And brown and red definitely complements each other. So I am happy to see kind of those 2 color tones trending. I am a little shocked though, because those colors are normally what we see in fall time, and they are just heavily being represented right now in spring, summer. And I think going into summertime, it's going to be really interesting to see this quiet luxury 90s aesthetic still carry through. And not to mention, it's just a luxurious look in general, a very, metallic sheen beige dress or skirt. Those color tones oftentimes embody that kind of quiet luxury or, rich aesthetic that people are so obsessed with right now. So I think that's why we're really starting to see that more and more, even as we transition through seasons. A lot of people have their own current hot takes on this being kind of just the sign of the times. We're seeing a lot of people want to embody these rich looks, but we're also going into another recession. And is it just this like we're trying to kind of play up our look? I don't know exactly what it is. It is really interesting though that these muted color palettes just keep transitioning from season to season. I never complain when I see that though, because it just tells me that like we're not switching things up too fast. We're still allowing ourselves to kind of digest and work out these trends. Overall themes, of course, I have already mentioned quiet luxury. If you know me, you know I don't really enjoy using the term quiet luxury, although I think I've said it like a total of 5 times in this video so far. It is definitely something that, like, love it or hate it, it's here and it's been here for quite a while. I always like to attribute it to more of the 90s aesthetic, and I do notice a lot more magazines and like, publications kind of responding to the fact that like this is a 90s edit. That's definitely what we're seeing. Some people are calling it the 90s redo. However you want to take a look at it, quiet luxury 90s, it's just what is here so big right now. I mentioned this already in my 2024 predictions list, but I talked about how romanticism was definitely starting to reemerge in runway trends. And I think we're starting to see it kind of trickle down to a lot more of the silhouettes and styles that are coming out this summertime. And of course, not to mention, I mean, summertime always kind of has a little bit more of a romantic vibe, because that's definitely when we start pulling out our dresses and, we want to wear those like long flowy skirts. Everything just starts to seem more feminine in the undertones, and I think we're seeing so much more romanticism come out more and more, and I absolutely love that. And one of the trends that are marrying each other is the romanticism and the florals. 3D florals have definitely been a big trend for the last couple years, but this time around you're seeing it more in like the roses or rosette style. And I'm seeing so much of like the crochet knitting and the, you know, like 3D floral with like a very romantic, almost like lace ethereal vibe to it. And I'm really enjoying seeing that. I absolutely love anything like boho, bohemian, that kind of style, that kind of edit. And I think we're really starting to see that emerge itself into the summertime trends. I'm really hoping that that's just going to be like a shift from a little bit more of this like 90s suiting tailored look, and we're going to see a little bit more of those like romanticized trends and outlooks on fashion. Also, not to mention, it's just a 1970s infusion, especially with the lace and the rose combo. Like that is just a late 70s, early 80s, you know, dream genre. Next is the preppy aesthetic. This has probably been the most interesting one to me because I think we're seeing a lot of like messy variations of it. It just seems like it's one of those anything goes presentations. It's so messy. That's the only way I can think to describe it. And I actually really like it. There's a couple content creators right now that I follow on Instagram that I can tell that they have this aesthetic and they've really mastered it. I'm excited to see it, and I think there are people who do it really well. It's just not something that I could personally pull off. I don't think it's not a look that I necessarily vibe with, but that doesn't mean, I mean, we're talking about fashion in general, and I think there has to be like looks for everybody and every age group. But just this like mix of high-low preppiness. I'm seeing Lacoste right now have a huge resurgence in brand recognition. It feels like they're being talked about a lot more amongst influencers. That's always when you can kind of tell a brand is like trying to elevate themselves that much more, is when you can see like every influencer is getting gifted like a certain brand. You can see they're really trying to push themselves out there again. Lacoste has always been a big brand. I really feel like it's trying to reach a younger audience and a younger demographic. I'm really interested in seeing that brand and where it kind of goes, but I definitely see it fitting into this kind of preppy, messy look is really the best way I can describe it. You know, you're seeing like very, almost like what I have on right now with like balloon sleeves, like just these voluminous pieces like track jackets. Louis Vuitton had one in their fall winter campaign that I found really interesting, and I think that's really like bleeding over into the summertime aesthetic. And of course, not to mention Miu Miu has been doing this for years now. That has been their aesthetic for the last probably 5 or 6 years. And I feel like now you're starting to see a lot more of the fashion houses take it on, and you're really starting to see it kind of go mainstream. Personally though, I would definitely have to say my favorite approach to it is the Zendaya and La Roche Challengers campaign. That was a masterclass in tennis core, or however you want to look at the preppy polo aesthetic. Oh my goodness. Every single picture that I saw from the Challengers campaign, I just kept eating it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, give me more, please. This is so good. Now let's talk about individual clothing pieces. So let's start out with pants and shorts first. Trouser pants are probably the most common thing that I see on the summer trends list, and I absolutely hate this because I live in Florida and trouser pants are not going to be possible within the next couple weeks. There's no way I'm going to be rocking any trouser pants. We're going to talk about Bermuda shorts. That to me is the evolution that you take throughout the seasons. I do notice a lot more of the ultra high rise. So we're talking 1980s ultra high rise pants. Me personally, I thrift the 1980s as much as I possibly can, so you know I am very excited to see this trend. One of the biggest trends that I'm seeing is the trouser shorts or pants with the matching vest. That is just everywhere. That seems to be the summertime uniform. Another like trouser hot take though that I'm seeing a lot of is the capri and ankle, like very slim, you know, think Audrey Hepburn, like that kind of slim fitting ankle pant. That is definitely something that I am seeing have a huge resurgence. I personally love that look. And also, not to mention, on a petite frame like myself, it's a very complimentary look, so no complaints. Love seeing that one. As far as dresses go, I have some thoughts. I definitely have some thoughts. Dresses, I am seeing a lot of cutouts. Cutouts, especially on dresses, have to be such a methodical purchase. I have tried on many dresses where the cutout just sits in the wrong area. There is no way that it is going to be flattering on me. I would just say, if this is a trend that you want to participate in, try it on at the store. I have yet to find one that I truly like exactly where the cutout placement is. I am also seeing a lot of sheer dresses. This is another one that I have a love-hate relationship with. I love the idea of it. I've talked about this in previous videos before, but a lot of times when you buy a dress with all sheer fabric and it has a slip-on underneath, if the slip doesn't match the bottom hemline, it's gonna look cheap. It's not gonna look like the dress is finished. So I would say just be very wary of that. It seems to be another trend that I'm seeing where you have kind of a tulle or a mesh panel and the skirt is like a mini skirt or something like that. So there's a lot of sheer layers to it. I think there's a lot of ways that you can do it right. And I think there's a lot of ways that it can start to lean more towards the cheaper look. And so again, I would just say it's something to be very methodical in your purchase. Drop waist dresses. I tried to say this was back, I think in 2021. And it didn't seem to hold, but right now I am seeing so many different looks of a little bit more of a fitted bodice and then the drop waist. Whereas I think the 1980s, you saw a lot more like volume on top on the shoulders and then fitted bodice and then drop waist. Whereas now it's very fitted and then boom, it drops out. So I feel like it's a little bit different take. It's a little bit more updated, very chic, modern look as opposed to what we were seeing a few years back. I'm really enjoying the tube top finish top and then the drop waist skirt. I think that is just such an elegant look. It's very much like a resort wear vibe. The two things that I'm noticing in tops are one, shoulder pieces where it's almost like a tank top, like a ribbed tank top, and then just like a cross shoulder moment. That seems to be huge right now. I think like Bermuda shorts and then a very polished little one shoulder moment. I'm also seeing a lot longer tops. The hemline of tops have just gotten so much longer. It doesn't seem like a lot of people want to tuck in their shirts as much as we used to. And again, that is the 90s. Okay, let's talk about skirts. Again, I have some hot takes. Skirt trend that I am seeing so much are the long bohemian skirts. I am, of course, so excited to see this. Again, it's that romantic element coming back in. This is something that I personally love because of how easy it is to thrift this look. I am a thrifter. I would say at every stage of my career, I have always had some kind of variation of like a long, flowy, kind of white linen or gauzy skirt. That just seems to be such a closet staple and something that I feel like everybody should have. So this being on the trends list, I think is a no-brainer. I personally love Ula Johnson and Chloe for their kind of boho vibes. They've always stuck to that aesthetic and that theming with their clothing. So I think as far as like inspiration and looks, those are two brands that I always look at. Last but not least, let's talk about accessories, shoes, and jewelry. Now, as far as handbags go, I am seeing a lot of bucket bags come back in. That always seems to be popular around this time of year. And then of course the like fish netting bags, those also were big. And again, I think that's something you could so easily get at a thrift store. They're everywhere. Slingback shoes and tiny heels are big right now. Nobody wants to walk around in ultra high heels or Louboutins right now. It's the shorter heels, and I hope that stays for as long as it possibly can. Let's talk about sneakers. You might already know my hot take on the Adidas Sambas. I don't think they are going anywhere anytime soon. I think they are going to be here for quite a bit longer, but I am noticing so many different takes on the Sambas and Gazelles, and I'm seeing a lot more collaborations as well. Brighter colors, so think like pink and purple. People are definitely still rocking those shoes, so I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon. Colorful sneakers in general seems to be something that just keeps sticking with every season. I think the Alison Bornstein wrong shoe theory is definitely a play with this. You look at a lot of the color combos that are out and so big right now, and all of them are very hard to specifically match to clothing styles. It's gonna look good, but mismatched all at the same time, and that's like the goal right now. Jewelry. I am seeing so much more statement jewelry, which I feel like this is probably the most stark difference between my spring prediction list and my summer prediction list. Spring, it was a lot cleaner jewelry and a lot more understated, elegant pieces. And I think right now we're seeing a huge resurgence of very costume, bold pieces. Chunky necklaces, chunky earrings, bangles. I'm seeing a lot of like those cuffs, like a hammered cuff, gold, silver, you name it. It is everywhere right now. And again, 1980s. Like, I'm just gonna say it, like, just look at 1980s clothing and that's what's in right now. You got the shoulder pads, you got the drop waist hems, you got the bold jewelry statements. All we're missing right now is the teased hair, and I think pretty much everybody would agree that's just not gonna happen, right? We're not gonna let that happen. I'm not gonna let that happen. You're not gonna let that happen. Let's not do that, okay? That is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown of summer trends. Temperatures are heating up real quick out here. It's already hit over 90 degrees, so I'm very excited to put some of these summer trends to the test. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys are new around here, I might have a couple extra videos for you right here and right here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.